Before I get into my topic, I would like all of you to think about a question and quickly answer to me in the chat room. What do you feel when going through our very beginning movement control order period? The first phase of MCO starting from 18 March. How's the feeling of being locked up? Good morning, madam and all my friends. I'm sure that none of us want a life of being forced to stay at home. Restricted space of activities, constantly wander around and doing nothing. But do you aware that someone out there is suffering this kind of life since they are born until the end of their life? I took this photo of chimpanzees at Zoo Johor. Take a closer look. Two chimpanzees there live in a space only as big as a football field, which surrounded by high walls and fences. Compared to their friends who live in jungle, they lost the opportunity of swinging between trees, climbing around freely, having every enjoyable moment with family and friends. Recall back to the question that I asked earlier. I would say that I somehow appreciate those days with MSCO because I get to spend more time with family. But for animals in zoos, they are totally separated from their social bonds. Some are even still young when they are taken away from their parents. What will we feel if we are the one being separated away from family and being kept inside a cage for entire life? Ever watch Rise of the Planet of the Apes? At the end of the movie, the ape ran into the jungle and set the word home. Oh well, apes in reality may not speak, okay? But we cannot deny that jungle is home for animals. I urge that zoos and aquariums should be closed due to several reasons. With quote from Mohandas Gandhi, the greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. We are born with our own rights to go anywhere, do anything we like, and also refuse to do anything we don't like. Humans exist on Earth as one of the million species, want to have our own freedom. But what happened to the other animals? The Longwy Society for the Protection and Care of Animals, also known as LSPCA, is the only organization in Malawi, East Africa that works on animal welfare. The CEO, Lisa Shannon, responded to the question of animals' rights by saying that humans, as a highly intelligent species, might be at the top of ecosystem, but it does not mean that only we can enjoy the rights, because all living things play important role in balancing ecosystem. Instead of depriving their rights to be free, we should make a good use of our advantages as a human being to protect animals and voice for them. Some parties claim that animals are sentient species. They can feel and they can think like humans, including lion, the king of beasts. When we mention lion, it is always about fierce, strong, and scary, right? But this lion Jupiter is hugging and kissing his rescuer, Ana Julia Torres, who saved him from a traveling circus in Colombia along with his mother in 2001. Jupiter always recognizes his caregiver every time when Anna shows up. This African lion can feel the caring and loving, which prove that animals' rights is not only a statement of philosophy, but a social awareness that all non-human animals do not exist just to be used by humans. If we cannot suffer from separation with our loved ones, animals too. If we cannot suffer from being restricted in a cage, animals too. If we have our own rights to be free, to live our desired life, animals too. Other than that, zoos and aquariums should not be legal due to the reason that animals are being misused as entertainment performers. This is Tilikum, a famous captive killer whale. He was taken away from his family back in 1983 near Iceland. By that time, the poor Tilikum was only 2 years old and was forced to leave his familiar ocean, waiting to be transported to Canada. He was then a performer in Sealand of the Pacific, a marine park in British Columbia. Tilikum was forced to perform tricks that he not supposed to do as a whale. It is 8 times of training and performance per day and 7 days a week, which means that he did not have any day to break throughout the years of life just to entertain humans. Well, none of the living things on earth are meant to be captive and used by humans, as all sorts of life should be born to live freely. Asian elephant is classified as endangered animal by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, as there are estimated less than 60,000 of Asian elephants left in the world. Guess what? 1/3 of the population live in captivity, being forced to perform and to give rights. According to National Geographic, elephants in zoos only live to 19 years, which they suppose to have an average 42 years of lifespan in wild. Now we have talked about the abuse of animals, and it provides clearer image for the following point, that zoos and aquariums are endangering animals as well as humans. Let us go back to this photo of Tilikum. Do you guys spot anything that seems unusual? The collapsed dorsal fin. This situation shows that he was suffering from illness and extremely stressed. And most of the whales in captivity have the same issue. Being separated from family was not the only tragedy faced by Tilikum. He was being bullied by other 2 elder female whales that trained with him, Haida and Nootka. We all expect that animals in zoos and aquariums stay together harmoniously, being protected, but the fact is exactly different. As a new immigrant to the marine park, Tilikum was definitely a slow learner. What happened if he did not reach performance expectation? No food for him and his partners. Every day after the park closed, he became the target of bullying by his partner for more than 14 hours before he continued with next training session. The 2 female whales will bite and wreck along Tilikum's body as revenge. He became well known across the world since 24th February in 2010 at the SeaWorld Marine Park in Orlando, Florida. Not because he showed any incredible tricks, but he killed his trainer. He killed his trainer by dragging her into the pool, breaking her bones until she was drowned. Turns out this is actually his 3rd killing case. The first is in 1991, back in Canada. Tilikum and his 2 partners killed a trainer named Kelty due to stress and frustration. He was then sold to SeaWorld in United States. In 1999, Tilikum's aggressive behavior killed a trespasser, Daniel Dukes. Well, he did not sentenced to death. Instead, he was being isolated for a year in a tiny pool. However, the same fate does not work on Harambe, a gorilla in Cincinnati Zoo of United States. He was shot after a 4-year-old boy climbed over the barrier and fell into his cage for 10 minutes. Zoos and aquariums are known as the best place to provide education about animals, but I disagree with that statement. Education should not be built on the pain and suffering of animals. If there is a way for people to get close to wildlife, I would suggest Parque Safari in Chile, which use the idea of reverse zoo. The animals are living freely in natural habitat, while visitors are locked in vehicles with cage. There are actually a lot of better places for animals, like reservation forests, national park, conservation or rehabilitation center, and animal sanctuary. In these places, animals live in nature environment with their rights of freedom, avoid being abused, and harmless to themselves as well as human beings. Let's stop supporting zoos and aquariums. These chimpanzees, they should have moved to Sepilok Orangutan Rehabilitation Center in Sabah. Albert Einstein once said, "Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in its beauty." Let us do something to make sure all sorts of life on this planet live a happy life. They deserve better. Thank you.